For today's creature feature, we began with Chucky. Did he just move on his own? Did he just move on his own?
You got your wish. You're mine now.
Ah! Look at that smile. Ah! Welcome to our Halloween household. Leatherface, not Leatherface J today. I didn't put the hat on him. And an update in our Halloween home. Check this out. This bookshelf was just put up and decorated within the last 24 hours. Chris, the girl, Miss Queen Halloween, my fiance and roommate, spent all day yesterday putting this stuff out, decorating the shelves. I put the shelves together on a weeknight a few nights ago. IKEA shelves. Pretty cool stuff. We got our books. We got a lot of spooky candles going right now. I just purchased these Halloween 3 Season of the Witch buckets at Spooky Empire. You might remember. Got the Dawn Post silver shamrock logo right there. Pretty neat. That's a good spot for them. She did a fantastic job. This all looks so good. Got a couple of the candles going here. Thought I'd show you a little update here in our Halloween household before we go on a little creature feature. I'm going on a quest today. Gonna hunt down some Florida folklore. Actually, the legend of Florida's Headless Horseman. Speaking of that, look at this. There's the Headless Horseman right there. Not from Florida. That one's from Sleepy Hollow. And look at this. I'm breaking out the pumpkin a little early this year. This is my traveling pumpkin, not the real pumpkin. The pumpkins do not come out until late September, early August. So I'll get my traditional pumpkin for Halloween season, don't you worry. But I'm gonna do a bit of traveling before they come out. So debuting here for the first time in Halloween season 2024, my pumpkin. Yes, man, it is here. It's finally here. I'm so grateful for Halloween. Much ahead. Also, up front here in the video, I want to announce this. A couple videos ago, I debuted. Check out this awesome shirt, just debuted on Thursday from 7th Inc. This t-shirt company has gifted me this shirt. They gifted me a lot of cool stuff. I really am grateful for this opportunity. I've been rocking these shirts for a couple years now. So is Chris the girl. They gifted her a bunch of stuff too. If you'd like to check out more of their stuff, there's a link in the description below. That's 7th Inc. Check them out. I love their stuff. And I'm so happy to support small business. They do a great job. This is a one-man company, by the way. Shout out to Matthew. He does all of the work for these shirts. And it's just incredible. The actual shirt fits really good as well. Really good. So, a little commercial before we start. We're gonna head out. I'm Tampa J, and there is so much ahead. Right, Mr. Jack the Reaper? Gotta show this guy off too. We're not so sure where to hang him yet. I'll leave that up to Queen Halloween. Oh yeah, look at this. This is more 7th Inc. We've got bat bucket hats. Right, Bella? Right? You wanna come with me to see the Headless Horseman? No?
Shut up!
Hey, that wasn't nice. And so we begin about 25 miles west of the Tampa Bay area. Welcome to Sleepy Hill, Florida. Just near Lakeland in a little town called Caffeine. This is Sleepy Hill Road. If you go down Sleepy Hill here, I think you know what's about to happen. Florida's only Sleepy Hollow. And look here upon this sign. Now at Kathleen Road and Sleepy Hollow Lane. So, Sleepy Hill, up through that tree line, Sleepy Hill Elementary. Behind there, Sleepy Hill Middle School. So down here, this neighborhood is actually called Sleepy Hollow. I passed by here several months ago and I saw the sign. No longer here. There was a sign to this neighborhood. It said Sleepy Hollow, and this is how I knew this was here. I passed by this road randomly a few months ago on one of my Backroads Florida adventures, and I saw Sleepy Hollow, and I was like, that's crazy. I would love to live in a neighborhood called Sleepy Hollow, but little did I know, that this right here north of I-4, a couple miles that way, Interstate 4, this is Sleepy Hollow, Florida. That's awesome, isn't it? Was just in Sleepy Hollow, New York. One of my favorite legends. Halloween, Headless Horseman. I love it. Gonna have to take a picture with that sign over there. And this is a really nice neighborhood. It goes down and just does a little roundabout, not too big, but the houses are pretty big. Sleepy Hollow, Florida. So cool. And in between the Sleepy Hollow and the Sleepy Hill Middle School, a cemetery. Will you look at that? Ha ha ha! Just like Sleepy Hollow, New York. This is called Griffin Cemetery. Kathleen Griffin in Lakeland and Sleepy Hill all touching points right here. It's a giant oak tree over here, look at this. And I can feel a little bit of rain coming through the canopy of all these beautiful live oak trees right here in Griffin Cemetery. Just down the hill, that neighborhood, Sleepy Hollow. Yeah, it's starting to rain. So, are you ready for the legend, Florida's legend of the Headless Horseman? It begins here on top of Sleepy Hill in this cemetery. A couple years back, I bought this book, Florida Folktales, edited by F. Russell Reaver. Technically edited, but also written. Russell Reaver, J. Russell Reaver, spent time in Florida documenting the stories of many generations of people, their families, legends, ghost stories, folk tales, all to do with Florida. And inside this book is where I found the legend of Florida's Headless Horseman. So here it begins on page 58, story 44, The Headless Horseman. Thought it would be fitting to read it in front of this gigantic and ancient oak tree. It's about to make sense. And I will tell this story in front of this gigantic and historic oak tree. That thing has to be 200 to 300 years, just judging it by its base there, by its trunk. The Headless Horseman. About 18 miles south of Kissimmee and about 2 miles north of Canoe Creek stands a huge oak tree known to the natives as DeadMan's Oak. My father and grandmother tell the legend of DeadMan's Oak as though it happened during their recollection, but the story mentions the enemy as Spaniards, so the date of the episode should be judged accordingly. A pioneer was coming up the trail between Lake Kissimmee and Lake Gentry and reached the bridge that crossed Canoe Creek, a little to the south of the present Canoe Creek Bridge. The pioneer was riding a white horse. The story does not explain why a pioneer would be riding a white horse through enemy territory at night. And he was taken by the Spaniards by surprise at the opposite end of the bridge. They took him to the huge oak by the side of the trail and cut off his head. Every night since that time at midnight, he comes back riding his white horse looking for his head. Now that is all that it says. That is the folk tale recorded here by Mr. Reaver in this book. So, I was fascinated. Already a fan of the Headless Horseman, the story in New York. I wanted to know more. So, I did a little investigation, but I haven't gone out to the area just mentioned in this book. Knowing that there was a Sleepy Hollow and a Sleepy Hill right here in Florida, in between Tampa Bay and Orlando, I thought it'd be fun to begin it here. Isn't that awesome? Although this tree is not DeadMan's Oak, we would be looking for a tree that size because the Spaniards were the first ones here back in the 15 and 1600s. So this story could go back that far. So it would be a very big and large oak tree, just like that one. So it says it's 18 miles south of Kissimmee, near Lake Gentry. There is a Canoe Creek Road. So that is the area I'm gonna go to today in this vlog. We're about an hour from there, maybe a little more, hour and a half. And we're gonna check out Canoe Creek and see if we can find this oak tree. And maybe one day, maybe we'll go out there at midnight if we find it and look for the Headless Horseman. We may do some other stuff on the way. All right, this is pretty much the second intro, but this sets it up. I really appreciate you being here. Let's head south of Kissimmee to the Lake Gentry, Canoe Creek area to find the Headless Horseman and the oak tree. There's much ahead. Ooh, not really. So I just left the cemetery, now on Kathleen Road, about to get on Interstate 4. It says it's an hour and 24 minutes from this area. Sleepy Hollow to Canoe Creek Bridge. Off of Interstate 4, traveling through Poinciana on 17. Gonna drive through Kissimmee and St. Cloud to get to Canoe Creek Road. Now stopped in downtown Kissimmee, right here, down the main strip and thoroughfare. Wanted to point this out real quick. Check this out. Horsemen. Halloween colors. This is pretty sick. This is a cool mural. I like this guy. He's definitely a horseman. Love his mustache. Very fitting. I'm stopped here in Kissimmee to show you, just before I got out of the car, on my map, right here from this point downtown, we are 20 miles to the Canoe Creek Bridge that crosses Canoe Creek on Canoe Creek Road. I put it into frame there to show you. That was the last glimpse. According to the story, the tree, DeadMan's oak, is 18 miles south of Kissimmee. Now we're standing in downtown, so a little further out. We're right in that vicinity, 20 miles according to my GPS. So that adds up. That's gonna be our first stop. There's a little contradiction in the story. It says 18 miles south of Kissimmee, 2 miles north of Canoe Creek. Well, if we're 20 miles from that point, Canoe Creek, then how can it be 2 miles south? So we're gonna check a few spots. I know it sounds confusing. You'll see more when we get there. There's a few spots on Canoe Creek that have bridges that cross them 18 to 20 miles south of Kissimmee. But Canoe Creek Road makes the most sense. Now back then there wasn't a lot of roads, so it could be anywhere south of Canoe Creek if it was Canoe Creek. I know, it's really a cool mural. And now we come to Canoe Creek Road, just south of St. Cloud. And in the story they talked about Lake Gentry, the story taking place between here and Canoe Creek. Lake Gentry is now to my left, to the east. I'm gonna keep my eyes peeled. You never know, DeadMan's oak could be anywhere in this vicinity here along Canoe Creek Road. Florida back roads, old Florida country road. Several farms, I see a lot of cattle out there. Just a typical road. Kind of reminds me of the Jeepers Creepers Road up near Ocala at Rainbow Springs. Doesn't it look like Jeepers Creepers out here? Just a little bit, right? We're almost there to the first stop. About 18 miles south of Kissimmee and about 2 miles north of Canoe Creek. Well, look at this. We are 2 miles north of Canoe Creek. And look, there's a creek right here. You can see it on the map. I'm parked right on side of the road. Hey babe. And that's where it says the oak tree is. So right here in this vicinity is where it says the oak tree is, but it does say later on, it says Lake Gentry and reached a bridge that crossed Canoe Creek a little to the south of present Canoe Creek Bridge. A pioneer was coming up the trail between Lake Kissimmee and Lake Gentry and reached the bridge that crossed Canoe Creek a little to the south of present Canoe Creek Bridge. So that's where he crossed. This is 2 miles north of Canoe Creek. So somewhere in this vicinity, I'm guessing, is where the oak tree is. Creepy, huh? Confusing. All right, so I'm walking back towards this waterway here. This is a true creek underneath this bridge here. This road, very nice. We're now looking north up Canoe Creek Road, the way we just came from St. Cloud, about 5 minutes that way. Also got my ghost meter with me, my ghost hunting tool, looking for supernatural, paranormal EMF. Got a spike in yesterday's video at a haunted cemetery down in Port Mayaca around Lake Okeechobee. Yeah, look over here. There is a creek here, and it's a natural creek. Also, we're looking for that oak tree. DeadMan's oak. This is exactly 2 miles north of Canoe Creek, as it says in the book in the first sentence, and just about 18 miles south of Kissimmee. If it was here in this spot, that adds up. There is a power line right here, so I'm getting a little reading just to show you this thing's working. So if there's an oak tree out here, and if it was in this vicinity, now this creek goes, you know, east and west quite a bit. It doesn't say that, you know, basically we don't know if Canoe Creek Road was here all those years ago. All we have is the roads. There are big oak trees over there. Don't see anything super large and old like DeadMan's Oak from right here. This may not be the spot. There are large oak trees out that way. That looks like this looks like someone's farm over here. Someone chucked a beer bottle right there. Yeah. This is a potential spot. This could be the site of the bridge and the oak tree where the Headless Horseman on the white horse was beheaded by the Spanish. So I have our location pulled up on the map. This is the Florida Turnpike over here. We're right here on Canoe Creek Road by this waterway. There's Lake Gentry. And then down here, this river right here, that's Canoe Creek. So we're exactly 2 miles from Canoe Creek Bridge, where it mentions in the second part of the story. We're gonna go there now, check out that bridge and that waterway, because that is potentially where the Spanish caught up with him, as the story goes. Why did they bring him 2 miles north to the oak tree is the question, and was it here? Can't really hop these fences right here. This is private property. There could be an old oak tree way out in there. I am not sold that this is the location. I'm gonna investigate a little more. We do have to kind of travel up along Oak Creek here. There are several bridges on other roads, not Canoe Creek, I'm gonna check out as well. Maybe we'll find a big oak tree out there, and there's Lake Gentry. Maybe we'll head towards Lake Gentry too. This is the vicinity of Florida's Headless Horseman legend. The Spanish, the conquistadors, were known to behead their enemies. Have you ever heard a story of Fort Matanzas? They cut over, oh man, hundreds, maybe thousands of heads off of French soldiers. A famous thing over there. Very haunted place too as well. Also, the conquistadors, I'm thinking of, he totally wiped out, I mean, thousands and thousands of Native Americans. I'm thinking of the Tocobagan tribe of Tampa Bay. Totally annihilated those people. They were pretty brutal back in those days. Not to say it was just the Spanish. You know, everyone did it, but they were known for their brutality, specifically beheading people. So that's why this story kind of adds up. I mean, this would have been 400 years ago. This would have been 1600s, so 400 plus. And I can totally see it happening. Washington Irving, who wrote the famous Legend of Sleepy Hollow that talked about the Headless Horseman, was said to be inspired by a similar story of a Hessian soldier that was beheaded near a battle in Sleepy Hollow back then. That is said to be the story. They actually talk about that in the movie. The funny thing is that this story would have taken place many years before the Revolutionary War, perhaps 100 to 200. So the origin of this story could be older, just speculation, fantasy, could be older than the Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Just think about that. Maybe an inspiration. Could have gotten all the way up there to New York and Washington Irving's ear. Just a speculation, very, very fantasy, but it is possible. So at this point, the DeadMan's Oak could be anywhere in this vicinity. So really keeping my eyes peeled, as I was saying before. It could be out in those woods, could be out in those woods. It could be ahead of us. It could be down by Canoe Creek, if it still exists too. Who knows? Could have been taken out by lightning. Could have been taken out, ooh, wild turkeys out there. When the farmers, the ranchers cleared these prairies, it may not exist. But if it does, we're gonna find it. In quotations, a pioneer was coming up the trail between Lake Kissimmee and Lake Gentry and reached the bridge that crossed Canoe Creek. So here is Canoe Creek. And there, I'm assuming, is the Canoe Creek Bridge. One would assume, right? So check this out. Lake Kissimmee is actually south of us. Lake Gentry north of us. So he would have been coming up, from what this says, he would have been coming up from the south. And then it goes on to say that a little to the south, Lake Gentry, and reached the bridge that crossed Canoe Creek. A little to the south, a present Canoe Creek Bridge. So a little south would be that way. So we'll go down there eventually. First, let's fill this out. We've got this newer bridge. This seems to be part of the Florida waterways here. This is potentially goes into comes from a reclaim or to a reclaim. There's a dam over here, a dike. It does say Canoe Creek on the stone over here. And off to the side, right over there, is a giant oak tree. And all the way down the creek here, I see oak trees. This is a, looks like an access road for the county or whoever owns this land. But there is a potential oak tree right there. I just want to point that out. Take a look at the bridge. Right here on the side, check it out, alligator. This is, should have looked before I made that statement, South Florida Water Management District. So yeah, there you go. This is potentially drinking water, actually, after it's, you know, goes through a water treatment plant and whatnot. Canoe Creek. There you go, County Road 523. That's exactly where we are. Now, was this the bridge? What confuses me that this is Canoe Creek. So I would have to think that this is it, the former location. Giant oak tree over there. Is that DeadMan's oak? It's pretty big. I don't know if it's big enough to be 300 or 400 years, but it looks like it. Zoomed in on the oak tree over there behind the gate beyond my car. If this were the oak tree, DeadMan's oak, that's where the Horseman was beheaded all those years ago. Don't think that's it, but it is pretty old. Starting to get overcast out there. If you go all the way down this waterway here, it's beautiful. Green grass, oak trees, very well kept. Potentially DeadMan's oak could be anywhere in that vicinity. There's another bridge down there I'm going to try to get to. There's a road on a map. I don't know if it's accessible. We have to go back to the entryway of Wild Florida, a roadside attraction down here. Go down that road to one of the potential spots that this DeadMan's oak could be. But first, we're gonna go south, as it says in the book, a little way south, the present day Canoe Creek Bridge. Check that out. And reach the bridge that crossed Canoe Creek a little to the south, a present Canoe Creek Bridge. Maybe it wasn't Canoe Creek. A bridge a little way south, a present day Canoe Creek Bridge. That means there's another bridge that way. That's what it reads to me. What do you think? And this wood's just south of Canoe Creek, full of live oak trees. There could be hundreds of live oak trees out there, hundreds of years old. All right, got my map rolling here. Let's see, let's go a little way south. Come over, see if there's any creeks down here. See how far we have to go. Ooh, there's something called Parton Ranch Corn Maze. Hey, do they embrace the Headless Horseman at Halloween? They should. Dude, it could be right there. All right, stop not too far from Canoe Creek Bridge. You can see it right up there. Just want to point out over here, this is that same property. So many live oak trees just from this vantage point on this side of the road. Beautiful. None I see that are very old, but on the map, this property goes miles that way along the south side of Canoe Creek. And then you got the same thing over here. You can see the branches of the live oak trees. It's like a needle in a haystack for DeadMan's oak so far. Also, keep in mind that the first part of the story does say that DeadMan's oak is near the first location we showed. This is all speculation. It's a legend. It could be anywhere, but this is the vicinity. Do you follow? That's okay if you don't. Hope you just enjoy the video or are enjoying it. Thanks for being here. Thank you. All right, so check this out. I'm right here, Canoe Creek Road. This is Parton Ranch. This is where they have the corn maze come fall. Don't think they're set up yet. Looks pretty cool out there. So I just passed, you see this tree line right here? This is the first creek right here. We'll go back to it, south of the bridge. So this is potentially where they caught up with the Horsemen. And maybe the DeadMan's Oak, we'll see. There is a creek here, so this is potentially where the bridge was, according to the story, to the legend. All right, yeah, I think there's a little area I can pull off here. Here you go, just to show you. There's water coming through here. There's a little creek. Pull off here. The Pioneer was coming up between Lake Kissimmee, that way. Lake Kissimmee, not in Kissimmee, by the way. We've been there before. And Lake Gentry, which is this way. And just a few miles south of the current Canoe Creek Bridge, or a little way south it says, it doesn't say miles, was the previous bridge. This is the first creek south of the current bridge. So is this where the Spaniards, as they're called in the story, in the folktale, is this where they caught up with the Pioneer on the white horse? This is one of the potential spots, and it fits the description. This is the first creek south of the present day Canoe Creek Bridge. I know it's confusing, but that's what the story reads. And here's the thing. Was it on Canoe Creek Road? This story could shift miles this way and miles that way. This road could have not always been here, but you know, like to think they, like in old days, they used to pave over the wagon trails and make the roads, and this is one of the oldest roads in Osceola County, so this is a good spot to guess. A lot of cattle out there. This could be the location of the former bridge, Florida's Headless Horseman Bridge. Pretty neat. Pretty neat just to come out here and adventure. We still got a few more spots to check out. Much ahead, or much not ahead. All right, gotta use your imagination. So my next thought, the next locations I'm gonna check, you see Canoe Creek right here? There are two roads, one to the north, one to the south of us, that have bridges. So we're gonna check those out, because that's Canoe Creek and it's a bridge, and see if there's anything south of those bridges as well. Holy cow, look at that sky. Couldn't ask for better weather, right? Very haunting. We might get rained on. I've got an umbrella. So, Wild Florida, I've been meaning to do this. They've invited me out a couple times. Sorry guys, I'll be out there eventually. Drive-through safari gator park, right up our alley, right? So this is Canoe Creek Road. Down there, the Canoe Creek Bridge. And this is Lake Cypress. So I'm gonna take this road back here. There's another road I'll turn south on and hopefully cut back across Canoe Creek. Again, I have an umbrella. There's a large oak tree, I mean, right there. That could be DeadMan's Oak. Hold on, let me check that out. Some sort of a cattle ranch. Yeah, I don't know if that's old enough. Definitely at least 100 years old, but there's, oh wow, there's several big oaks back here. This is all in range. Are you DeadMan's Oak? How about you? Everywhere. So if I can't turn left on this road, then we cannot check it out. Let's try it now. It's a busy road. I don't know if people are coming back and forth from the safari. Maybe it just let out. It's 4 o'clock. A lot of people coming this way. I'm the only one going this way. I'll check it out. There's another sign there. Wild Florida. I will be coming back for sure. There's a, wow. There's a white house. I almost said horse. It's actually a cow. I got excited. But back this way is Canoe Creek. There's a giant white cow out there. All right, so this is the road. It looks like, oh no. Dang it. Got all excited there. No trespassing. Private property. So dead away, Canoe Creek, and there's a bridge down there. So that was one of my potentials. And there was a another creek just south of it, so potentially that way. We just can't go. Access not granted. Check out all the locks here. Whoa, they really don't want you in there. That's pretty amazing. I've never seen anything like that. So this is one of the access roads for the waterway. Gets them all the way down there to that bridge. I'm pretty sure that's probably a dike or a dam that crosses the bridge there. Okay, now we're gonna go check out that northern spot, the other potential location. Gotta go back that way. It could be the same thing, just fair warning. At least at some point in this video, unknowingly, I'd like to guess, we got the actual location. Where are you, Dead Man's Oak? And are you dead? Are you alive? Are you still there? Were you taken out years ago? That is the question. And that's the fun! I love this. Look at that cloud cover over those trees out there. Couldn't ask for a more perfect day. Again, I hope it doesn't downpour, but I like the vistas. Very haunting. Dead Man's Oak. Could potentially be that way where we first started. Wow, now we're driving right into this storm. It's gonna be fun, right? Always fun. Haha, much ahead. Or much not ahead. All right, so that road I was thinking of is a private driveway, and look, there's the owner right there closing the gate of their private driveway, so that's no dice. Didn't expect that. Didn't expect that at all. Oh, darn it. So I just passed over the bridge, the first bridge we showed, where I really think that Dead Man's Oak may be. I'm going to head this way towards Lake Gentry to see if we find anything. As you can see, all hell's about to break loose in the sky. Look over that way. Actually, that is where we're going. Lake Gentry. Just like I thought, gonna run right into that rain and thunder. What am I doing? I'm going to Lake Gentry, that's what I'm doing. Hope my GoPro's okay on the front of the hood. All right, I gotta run and get my GoPro. Oh no. All right, I'm soaked. Oh my gosh. All right, so this is what's going on. So I am currently sitting in the driveway of the road back to what I thought might be a park here at Lake Gentry. But this, as you saw, it's a gate, it's a private entry. Sometimes things don't go according to plan. What plan? There really wasn't a plan. I'm just having fun. I'm having a great time. Searching for a needle in a haystack. Dead Man's Oak. To be continued. I think it should be okay. It's still recording. Hello. All right, guys. The rain has ended my search. What a fun time, though. I mean, come on. Now we know of Florida's Headless Horseman, the legend of Canoe Creek, as the thunder rolls. All right, a little pit stop, necessary pit stop. Hey, maybe Lowe's knows where the Dead Man's Oak is. You're like, what the heck's he doing at Lowe's? The rain followed me. Oh gosh. I don't know if Lowe's knows where the Headless Horseman is or the Dead Man's Oak, but I do know they know Halloween. Ha 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 ha. I've got to buy something here. That guy's huge, as seen on Chris the Girl on YouTube. This Queen Halloween. All the demos. The animatronics. I like this guy. Ghost Captain. That guy is freaking tall. Talk about a creature to feature.
Till I've exposed this new world of every outcast.
This is the Pilgrim from Wednesday. I know a thing or two about some pilgrims. He's creepy.
My vengeance is swift and true.
So cool. Oh, look at this guy over here. $199. Get him going. Man, I love Halloween. Okay, I came over here. There's the Haunted Mansion stuff. I came over here to get, oh, it's right here. All right, so I really like this pumpkin. Chris the girl likes it too. She was checking this out. I actually saw this not too long ago. Check this out. This is what I came to buy. Perfect for the Halloween household. This is a good deal. He's 55 bucks. It reminds me of Gordo from Spirit Halloween, just a lot cheaper. They also have a smaller one up here. Oh, there's the giant scarecrow. Remember him from last year. I could go all day watching these. This is the Don't Fear the Reapers. So classic. Rock on, Mr. Skeleton. All right, I can't believe I'm doing this. I hate clowns. Oh! That's gotta hurt. He's gonna lose his head. All right, he's 300 bucks. That is freaking creepy. And look at this, I got him. It actually cost 70 bucks. That's all right. Just realized he matches my 7th Ink shirt right there. Shout out to 7th Ink. Again, description. In the description below, I got a link if you want to buy this t-shirt. Love you guys. 7th Ink. Good stuff. Can't wait to show this to Chris the girl. Right in the back of the spooky Subaru. Maybe I should just keep it here. I thought I'd read the story one more time for you. About 18 miles south of Kissimmee, about 2 miles north of Canoe Creek, stands a huge oak tree, known to the natives as DeadMan's Oak. My father and grandmother tell the legend of DeadMan's Oak as though it happened during their recollection. But the story mentions the enemy as Spaniards. So, the date of the episode should be judged accordingly. The Spanish, again, came here in the late 1500s, early 1500s, off and on for up until, I think, Spanish controlled Florida, and then the French, and then for a while the English, and then the Spanish got it back, and I believe we bought it from Spain in the early 1800s, the United States. So this could have been, my guess would have been back during the Conquistador era, the first, the era of Ponce de Leon, Hernando de Soto. There's all kinds of stories about the Spanish beheading soldiers, as I was mentioning early. That was a form of punishment, or a form of execution that the Spanish soldiers, soldagos, performed. There's lots of legends of beheadings. Just want to interject there. A pioneer was coming up the trail between Lake Kissimmee and Lake Gentry and reached the bridge that crossed Canoe Creek a little to the south of the present Canoe Creek Bridge. And we went to the first creek south of the present day Canoe Creek Bridge. The pioneer was riding a white horse. The story does not explain why a pioneer would be riding a white horse, though, through enemy territory. And he was taken by the Spaniards by surprise at the opposite end of the bridge. So that would be the north side, because he was coming from Lake Kissimmee. They took him to the huge oak by the side of the trail and cut off his head. It was beside the trail, so if that trail is Canoe Creek Road, then we were on the correct path. I forgot that. Every night since the time at midnight, he comes back riding his white horse looking for his head. So the next step would be to go out there at midnight along Canoe Creek Road, if that was the road of the trail, by the first location we stopped, 2 miles north of Canoe Creek. So, and that in the story is true. From the first point south of Canoe Creek, where the Horseman, at that point, crossed, was caught by the Spanish, then he was taken at least 2 miles, 2 to 3 miles up the trail to DeadMan's Oak. That's the logistics of it. I'm having fun with this. I hope it wasn't boring. I hope you followed along. Hope I told the story correctly. This is the first time anyone's ever talked about this on video, I believe. I could be wrong. There are some blogs on the internet that are very old. I'll put a list. If I find any, I'll put in the description below as a reference. Give you know, credit where credit is due. There's people that have talked about this story, including Mr. Reaver here, and that's how I found it. If you know anything, if you're from Osceola County, if you know anything more about this legend, this folk tale, please comment below. I would love to know more. Maybe you know where DeadMan's Oak was. Maybe you can add to this story. That's why I love bringing this stuff up. It's just a small paragraph in this book, and it's a nice book, and I look forward to sharing more of these stories and maybe going on similar expeditions as we did today. There's so many ideas that I already have just by reading some of the stories in here, and we're gonna do this again. So not just haunted stuff, not just ghost stories, there's all kinds of stuff in here, Florida legends. Some we've already talked about. Also have to shout out my good friend and author Mark Muncy of Erie, Florida, Erie Appalachian, Erie Travels. He has he's written a bunch of stuff around Florida, always referencing his book as well, and I'm sure he knows about the Headless Horseman. I know we've had conversations about other folk tales in Florida before. I always like to give him a nod too. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video for today's creature feature. I gotta get on home and get this new pumpkin in the Halloween household, show Chris the girl. I appreciate it. Know you're awesome, know you're loved, and no matter who you are, what you're going through, just know that there's always much ahead, unless you were the pioneer on the white horse. Oh man, one day perhaps we will find DeadMan's Oak, Florida's Sleepy Hollow to Canoe Creek. Bye bye everyone, happy Halloween. All right, now we're home. Ready? Oh, Bella's like, what? She's so scared.
He's so cool.
What do you think?
I love him.
Totally worth it.
Oh, totally.
A little more than I thought, but he reminds me of Gordo.